Hello and welcome. In 2018, the Me Too movement hit India with women from all sectors and industries coming forward with their stories of harassment at the workplace. And this week, women who are part of the sports industry also broke their silence. On the 18th of January, Vinesh, Phogat and Sakshi, Malik, two of India's most esteemed, most decorated women wrestlers, came forth with accusations of sexual harassment against sitting BJP MP, the Wrestling Federation of India head Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. So, sexual harassment and abuse in sports. Is this India's worst kept secret? Joining us on We the People, we have Deepti Bopaya, CEO of the Go Sports Foundation. We have Dr. Sunita Godra, the Asian marathon champion from 1992, a marathoner, a fitness coach and a promoter. Charu Sharma, sports commentator. Sharda Ugra, senior sports journalist. Hina Sidhu, Indian Olympic athlete. Gitika Jakkar, international player, wrestling India's first Arjun Awardee woman wrestler, and Payoshini Mitra, CEO of the Global Observatory for Gender Equality and Sport. Payoshini Mitra, to you first. As you heard these stories, I know you're in Geneva, as you heard these stories as it broke in the Indian media, your thoughts, is this just the tip of the iceberg?
I was following the case from here, and I would say that, yes, definitely it's tip of the iceberg. But at the same time, you can sort of see when you hear all these top athletes, top wrestlers in India, not only talk about sexual harassment, but overall kind of atmosphere where abuse and abusive behavior of people in power has somehow been normalized. And I think that's where my focus went when I was listening to Vinesh, Phogat, Sakshi, Malik and Bajrang Punia speak to the media. And I think that's very crucial. In sport, there is this hierarchy which we need to address, and we need to understand that this hierarchy can create abuse of power, and that's what we are seeing in case of this case. Now, obviously, this is going to be investigated, and it's too early to say anything. But for top athletes to come and speak is a huge landmark event, and I think one of the things that my work around athletes' rights, or in particular, when you talk about sexual harassment and abuse, I've noticed that what we haven't done much across sport, across the world really, is bystander intervention. What we say, a lot of us, we tend to bystand, be bystanders to abuse.
Bystander intervention, a crucial point. I'm going to go across to that. But first, Deepti Bopaya, CEO of Go Sports. You're an organization that works on athlete welfare. You look to find deserving talent and, give them whatever is needed to make them shine on the global stage. You heard Ms. Mitra there talk about a hierarchy. What exactly are we talking about here in the sports industry? I'm guessing sports, like all Indian industries, specifically also predominantly run by men. There are levels of misogyny in all of these, but is there something specific about sports that may make a woman athlete more susceptible or vulnerable?
Thank you. I think the problem is really with the reporting aspect of it. A lot of this is seen and heard and discussed, but the proper reporting mechanism is something that is really missing. So sometimes a lot of this information is brought up, but it is not followed through, and then it's just kind of managed. But there have been systems that have been put in place, at least in the last few years. But obviously, seeing some of the biggest and brightest athletes of our country come forward and talk about this makes us sit back and think about what else we should be doing. But if you compare this to even the developed countries, even a country like the US with the gymnastics scandal, it has happened. Not saying that it's okay for it to happen here, but we should be far more vigilant and put in more processes on managing the reporting process. I think that is where a lot of athletes don't know who I should take it up to and what happens after I take it up. So it's not like even in these cases it was not reported or not taken up, but who takes the final call? So there should be independent organizations who are well versed in this space, actually managing all these aspects. So I think that's where the systems are not in place.
Systems are not in place. I'll tell you what is jumping out at me from what you've said is the word of managed. It's not been managed. Charu, if I can just ask you this question, the one thing that I've been noticing over the past week as Indian women wrestlers have called out the WFI over sexual harassment seems to be a lack of legal redressal mechanisms, right? Even the athletes have talked about this. When 2018, we saw the Me Too movement, women spoke up, claims were investigated, cases were filed, some even against women who broke these walls of silence. But till today, Charu Sharma, there's no FIR or a case filed here because yes, these are allegations so far, sure, but no case even till now. When you talk about managed, to me as an outsider, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to be that, the sports minister is speaking directly with the alleged, let me say victims here. I say that with caution, but you have everything being managed. A sports minister speaking to the victims, you have the minister sending a representative to speak to the victims. Where is the law? Where is the process? Where is the system that's supposed to be followed?
Well, the connectivity is a little iffy, so do bear with me. But, you mentioned that there's no legal recourse. I think that's incorrect because I'm sure any individual in the country, whether it's collective or individual, does have legal recourse. And of course, whatever's apparently happened there or alleged to have happened is very condemnable. But nothing prevents these top athletes from seeking legal recourse from any lawyer in the country to take their plea forward. So if you're suggesting that the federation ought to have a legal system, well, that's going to suit the federation. But anyone in India is free to get legal support. I'm sure that's
I'm asking out of curiosity that how is it that normally, let's say if I were to raise an allegation against someone in my office, if it's a serious enough allegation, maybe, the organization is duty bound to take it up, like we have internal committees that has to take it up with the authorities. Maybe the police have to act on a suo moto case. This story is everywhere. It's across all headlines, yet nothing.
I know. So there's always a case to be made for overreaction as well. So we have to be a little careful. But what you say is important. I mean, federations in India, the whole sporting world in India is going through massive change and increasingly so in the last few years, which is all very good for the good, I'm sure. I do think that all federations can now, because of this very visible situation, be also asked to have a cell which is specifically made up of various people, not exactly from the federation, but, others, neutrals, to be able to look into these cases as it happens, one. But of course, not wait for that. They have to keep counseling. And I keep telling people wherever I go in the sporting world, over-counseling, easily the better path than under-counseling. So it's not just for the athletes, for the sports persons, but also for those who run federations. I think there need to be constant counseling about the fact that they have to be, cleaner than most other worlds. Although, of course, in the same breath, I say that sports is a microcosm of the world. And I think you and everybody else has established that it happens in just about every field. Why is it more important in the world of sport? Because very often there's no other recourse. Most sports persons have gone down a path from where, if you are, for instance, a hockey player, because there's a problem with the federation or you are harassed in several ways, you can't suddenly say, well, all right, I think I'm going to quit hockey and start playing basketball. In many other careers, it's possible to shift careers, not so in sport. So it becomes that much more important that sports persons are more carefully taken forward and shepherded along better lines from the federation as well as the entire ecosystem that surrounds sport.
Sharda Ogra, let me ask you that same question and also pick up, as Charu Sharma says, sports is part of the same ecosystem as all of us, but it seems in other industries, you are still accountable to the larger system. Like you have here, in response to the event, Swati Maliwal, chairman of the Delhi Commission for Women, issued a notice against, the President Singh. But you're not hearing those notices, etc., coming in really from the industry. And if they are from within the sports industry, it has to be pushed. You have to have 8-hour-long meetings with the minister. Then finally at 2 a.m. you say, okay, we're asking somebody to step down for now.
Sarah, this is just a reflection of how poorly Indian sport is managed and run. You shouldn't be going to a minister or a ministry asking for, a redressal and to put your allegations out in public in this manner on the streets. It happens because, all these federations that are run, they are required to have committees against, to take up cases of sexual harassment or discrimination. They're supposed to have them. They're supposed to have athletes commission. The Wrestling Federation of India doesn't have an athletes commission. It doesn't have the Indian Olympic Association has a committee for a prevention of sexual abuse committee. It's got 4 people on it. But the point is that you've taken away power from that because the government wants to control sport, and you've made the ministers and you've made NCW and you made all these people sort of jump in because there is no system of the structure of Indian governance is rotten. They put in all these kind of codes, but the people that are there are, I'm sure all the people on the panel will think I'm just going over the top and being overreacting, but the people a majority of the people that are running Indian sports, they are rotten. There's no other word to describe it. I'm not saying rotten in the sense of being bad people. They just exercise their power unilaterally without any consequences. And the wrestling case is literally just a microcosm of that bad governance. Despite the facts that there are laws and there is a national sports code that you have to follow, despite of all those clauses being there and all those rules being there, and the courts ordering you to do it, you're still shameless. That's how they function. And this case just shows us they've not allowed there to be independent offices set up to manage, various federations for the business side of things that they have to do. That these are the ethics. This is what has to be done. This is the process that has to follow. Let's go about this like the court has asked us to do and what it is in perfect ecosystems. I'll just very quickly tell you what happened in the case of the Larry Nassar, the gymnastics case in the US.
Yeah.
He went to court. He went to jail. And it happened pretty quickly. And athletes, because the athletes had the confidence, it took them so long, but the athletes had the confidence to turn up because the legal system was there fighting on their, on their behalf. They didn't need to go to the president of the United States or the governor or whoever it was. They didn't need to do it. So in the Indian sports system doesn't have these kind of mechanisms, like Deepthi was saying, that you don't know whom to do. Because this whole power equation is on all the time, that everyone's trying to exercise power, even if it is like, chalo, we will be these great magnanimous people who are helping our athletes out. Yeah. You let Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh get away with everything he has gotten away with for all these years.
Slapping an athlete on camera. Yeah. How can you have the federation continue after that?
And you had cases against, you had a case against, and in recent times, the athletes have shown the confidence to come out and complain. And this is the biggest pushbacks against the federations in a quarter of a century in Indian sport.
They've also asked for a cleanup of the systems, how coaches are hired, etc., etc. But Hina Sidhu-ji, please come in over here, an Indian Olympic athlete. We've heard... both, we had Chalu Sharma and Ugra talking about an overreaction in different contexts. Hina ji, आपको क्या लगता है इस हफ्ते में जब आप मीडिया कवरेज देख रहे हो, रिएक्शंस देख रहे हो, is there an option of कि हम overreact कर रहे हैं कि this is the reality?
I don't know. It'll be a little going out and putting my neck out there, not knowing the matter completely because I'm not a wrestler.
No, speak for your sport, ma'am.
In my
because we've had cases, whether it was in hockey, whether it was in cycling, we've had 45 complaints of sexual harassment that have been registered in the past 10 years, right? That's not just in wrestling.
Where I am coming from is I want to know where is the Vishakha committee or a sexual harassment committee appointed by this federation, because for NRAI you can see that Vishakha committee in our website with everybody's email ID, and there are more than 50% of the people in that committee are women. I don't see anything like that on their website. Is it an internal thing that they have or they don't have? Somebody told me 2 days that back that it used to be there, it's not there on the website. Sakshi Malik was part of it, but every other member was a male. So this is something I'm saying as a hearsay. I didn't see it myself.
Okay.
So my question is, if Sakshi Malik is part of that committee, a sexual harassment committee that the Wrestling Federation has made, did she write to the rest of the members? Did she bring it up?
Okay.
Is there an actionable evidence? Or is it, like you said, an overreaction? And before actually going out and sitting on a dharna, was there any mechanism in place where the athletes could write to the Sports Authority of India, bring this matter to other authorities before doing a dharna, or was it the last resort, or was it the first thing that they thought of?
So is there a mechanism in place is one question, and two, was the process followed by these aggrieved athletes?
And is there an actionable evidence? I'm just saying that, is there an actionable evidence? Doesn't have to be someone coming and saying that it happened to me. Even an anonymous letter dropped at, say, Sakshi Malik's place would be an actionable evidence which she should have brought to other members. I'm just saying it as an example.
No, but I just want to clarify, please, if I can get all the panelists up for a second. Nobody is refuting that this doesn't happen in this industry, right?
Yeah,
because we have all these cases.
Happens.
The Indian cyclist accused coach of sexual harassment in Slovenia, athletics coach in 2021, female cricketer, coach booked for molesting female cricketer in 2020. So, correct? Can we all agree that none of us on the panel or on the show are refuting that this has happened? All right. After that, let's just go back to whether there's a system in place and whether those processes were followed. Gitika Jakkar, ma'am, agar aap hame bata sakte hain, is there a system in place? Because we have the Vishakha guidelines. After everything that happened, Supreme Court said gender equality means protection from sexual harassment and the right to work with dignity. This holds for everybody. And I'm assuming sport is also considered a workplace.
Yes.
Because these are professional athletes.
We have Vishakha committee for shooting. We do.
Okay. So, Gitika Jakkar ji, please respond.
जी सबसे पहले तो इस पे मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि जिस तरीके से आप सबको भी शॉकिंग ये लगा देख करके कि इस तरीके की चीजें इतने बड़े एथलीट्स के साथ में हुई, तो सेम रिएक्शन मेरा था क्योंकि आई वाज अ मेंबर ऑफ इंडियन स्क्वाड एंड मेंबर ऑफ इंडियन कैंप टिल 2020 एंड मतलब मुझे मेरी नॉलेज में नहीं थी ये चीजें कभी भी। तो जब मुझे ये सुनने को मिला कि इस तरीके से हमारे इतने अच्छे इतने बड़े लेवल के एथलीट्स वहां बैठे हैं, तो मेरे लिए भी एक बहुत शॉकिंग चीज थी। और इससे भी हम डिनाई नहीं कर सकते कि इस तरीके से वहां बैठने के लिए और अपनी ये मतलब कि सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट का हम एलिगेशन लगा रहे हैं, उसके लिए बहुत हिम्मत चाहिए। और जरूर कुछ ना कुछ तो ऐसा हुआ है जिसके लिए वो ये एलिगेशंस लगाए जा रहे हैं।
So something has happened.
Something has happened. तभी ये इस तरीके के एलिगेशंस कोई भी लगाता है, कोई भी लड़की लगाती है। पर उसके बाद एक चीज जो पिछले 3 दिन से मतलब वेरी फर्स्ट डे भी हम यही कह रहे थे कि आप लोग एक एप्लीकेशन आप मूव करें, क्योंकि IOA को उन्होंने एप्लीकेशन मूव करी है जिसके अंदर की एलिगेशंस के बारे में लिखा है। बट दे शुड मूव एप्लीकेशन टू concerned पुलिस स्टेशन, विच इज मतलब हम लोग यहाँ बैठ करके और मीडिया ट्रायल करके हम किसी को भी पनिश नहीं कर सकते हैं, है ना? तो इसके लिए दे शुड मूव एप्लीकेशन टू कंसर्न थाना एंड देन ओनली एनीथिंग कैन हैपन। और लेकिन ये चीजें पिछले 3 दिन से नहीं हो रही हैं, जो कि इस पे बिल्कुल क्वेश्चन मार्क डाल रही है। मुझे क्योंकि मेरे लिए ये एक बहुत ही दर्दनाक, मैं आपको कहूंगी, चीज है कि जो है इतने बड़े एथलीट्स सड़क पे बैठे हैं इस चीज के लिए। तो दे शुड मूव एप्लीकेशन, और अगर इसको स्टार्ट किया है तो एंड तक बिल्कुल पहुंचनी चाहिए ये चीजें।
Okay, so you're saying the onus lies on the athletes. They should move the application. They should go and file an FIR. Not that the police should file a sumo to FIR. Not that the ministry should. Not that the law ministry should. But the onus lies with the athletes. All right, ma'am. I want to get in. Sunita Godara hasn't spoken, and I saw you, ma'am, shaking your head vociferously.
Yes.
You are not in agreement with what ma'am Jakkar is saying. Please go ahead.
Okay, first of all, you have seen Brij Bhushan is so powerful that sports ministry is also not ready to do anything against him, you know. So police will not do anything even if they would have gone there. Secondly, in sexual harassment committee, they don't have to go to police because so moto action ministry can take, so moto action IOA can take, FOXO is there. And first of all, this federation, sexual harassment committee and the ethics commission is all jumbled up. They have 4 men and Sakshi Malik was only 1 female, which is wrong. It is illegal. It is not sexual harassment committee, first of all. Because in sexual harassment committee, you have to have the lead lady, the chairman should be lady, then there should be 1 lady from outside, NGO head or something like that, and then there should be 1 lady from inside and 1 person, male, with legal knowledge. So they don't have that kind of sexual harassment committee. Now ministry, if they have, it is sleeping, not doing anything. IOA, now the committee which the ministry has made or IOA has made after getting their written complaint, how many male are there? Only Dola Banerjee? How can you ask sexual harassment allegation, the victims will come and tell in front of the male, which is also illegal. Whenever you have any sexual harassment committee, you have to have 4 ladies. If there are 7 people, then 4 ladies, 3 male. If you have 4, then 3 female and 1 male. Something like this, you know, ratio.
Are our athletes even aware of all of this? I remember when the Duti Chand story came out.
And secondly, one thing more.
Ahead,
I want to say, please don't say that Dinesh Phogat and Sakshi Malik, if they are talking about sexual harassment, they are not talking about their sexual harassment. They were mentally tortured. There are 2 types of harassment, mental harassment and sexual harassment. They are becoming voice of young girls, those who were sexually harassed. So these 2 stalwarts, the sports stars, are not saying or not complaining that we were sexually harassed. So please don't mix up things. They are becoming voice of those young athletes. And now I'm worried because all those young athletes, those who are sitting there, if ministry will not take any action, if the IOA will not take any action, then the wrestling cream, which was sitting at Jantar Mantar, will be, you know, what you call it, you know, unko bilkul khatam kar diya
Easy
jayega.
ducks.
They will not be in the wrestling career. So this is a great loss to the country.
Sharda,
so they have to act.
These athletes have really put everything they have on the line, haven't they? By coming out so far, because you never know what could happen going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but I think they would believe that they have some. They've been given the confidence to say, okay, we can come out and do this, and maybe we will be looked after. Again, this is the whole thing of that the government will look after us. Somebody in power will look after us. That's why it's a notion all of us are having, that the timing and how this suddenly came out and everything. That's not to say that what they're saying is not.
No, then are we saying
true.
that there is some politics involved behind this?
I don't know politically what the scene is going on, but for athletes to come out suddenly and speak, maybe we are just all cynical and hard-boiled, and we've forgotten that you know, athletes can turn up and be so furious that they've come out and
speak for the younger athletes. And in this world, you're really young when you get into the sport. You're taken away from home. You're put under the training of somebody in some, like, I don't know, somewhere far away from the scrutiny of the public. Charu Sharma, to you last. I just want to, we're out of time, but do you think there's something political behind the timing or of the athletes speaking up now, or is it just the natural process? Because things have changed, and these are the women have been doing. I don't know if I'm right here, but I think women have been getting more medals. I think I saw that somewhere in some of the recent international.
Correct, and they are far more. And they are far more empowered as well. So it's the latter for sure. I'm not a big one for conspiracy theories. I really do think that it's taken a lot for competing athletes, retired athletes, another matter, for competing athletes to come out with these allegations, because obviously a lot more. However, I do want to, through your medium, let every athlete know that there is recourse, one, but, it's also nice to have irrefutable proof. I think the Nasser case was mentioned earlier, and the reason he was indicted in jail is because there was irrefutable proof. So I do think that also needs to infiltrate the minds of athletes, sports persons, that we need to collect a little more proof. Because otherwise, it can be an exercise in futility. However, in this case, I believe it could be a point of inflection, because Indian sport, I mentioned right at the top, is improving in many ways, even the working of the federation. There's a big effort to have the working of the federation improve. But this could be, because the wrestling is so important in India, it's a medal-winning sport internationally, wrestlers are recognized from India, that this could lead to far more specific system setting in every federation, including the ministry as well as the IOA. If
May
that
this
happens,
be
then
a
all
moment
of
of
this would
learning
be worth
for
it.
all of us.
Yes.
I just want to try and end on a positive note. And I loved one thing that you said, Chavi Sharma. You said that these are competing athletes. And that has got me thinking. Imagine you have these competing athletes. They're supporting each other. There are women supporting women, women athletes supporting each other. And I think that is, one takeaway I'm going to take away from this discussion. Thank you all for joining us on We the People, where we believe it's important to speak up, but also important to listen. We will continue to keep a focus on this issue for these athletes who have been shining bright and proudly representing us, all of us Indians globally, and we now have a responsibility towards them. Thank you all for joining us on We the People.